Welcome to today's deep dive. So, you can go online right now and buy a generic HDMI splitter for like 15 bucks.
Right, $15.
Yeah. So why on earth does this specific piece of equipment, the Avenview HBT-C6POE SP4 1x4 HD-base HDMI splitter, cost over $1,000? I mean, it's $1,038.67 to be exact.
Well, comparing this to a cheap $15 dongle is, it's like comparing a toy walkie-talkie to a satellite array. It's not just duplicating a signal for a second monitor on your desk.
Okay.
This Avenview unit is basically a massive technological bridge. It's designed to push uncompressed 4K Ultra HD, 1080p, and even 3D video up to 100 meters away.
100 meters. Wow.
Yeah, that's about 330 feet.
Okay, let's unpack this, because pushing 4K that far over a standard HDMI cable is, well, it's where physics usually stops cooperating.
Right, absolutely. The signal just dies.
Right. With traditional HDMI, sending heavy data over a long run is like trying to shoot a fire hose through a drinking straw. You get degradation, impedance, crosstalk, and eventually...
The screen just goes completely black, yeah.
Exactly. So how does this device actually bypass that physical bottleneck?
What's fascinating here is that it abandons HDMI entirely for the long haul. Instead, it leverages HDBaseT technology over standard network cables, so your basic KV5.6 or CT7.
Oh, wait, so just regular internet cables?
Yeah, standard SIP cables. But HDBaseT doesn't just push the raw signal. It actually packetizes the video and audio data. So it modulates the signal to sustain data rates up to 3 gigabits per second.
3 gigabits. And that's without losing a single pixel.
Not a single one. It's less like shouting across a windy field and more like sending that message safely in a sealed pneumatic tube.
That makes total sense. And I guess that explains how it handles the uncompressed 4K, plus the massive bandwidth burden of lossless audio formats like Dolby True HD and DTS HD master audio.
Right. It routes all of that to 4 remote monitors simultaneously.
And looking at the specs, it keeps a 35-foot local HDMI output active at the source. I assume that's just a diagnostic loop out.
Exactly that. It lets you verify the source is pristine right at the rack before sending it out to the floor. But, you know, the video distribution is really only one layer of what's happening on that CKT cable.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, and maybe where I get a little skeptical. Delivering the video is only half the battle, right?
Sure.
Because once the screen is 300 feet away, how do you actually control the source video or power the receiver without creating a massive wiring nightmare? The specs mention bidirectional IR control. Does this mean you can be sitting 3 football fields away and still use a standard remote to pause a server locked in the basement?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to run separate control wires at all.
But wait, it also mentions PoE, power over Ethernet, and a 100 megabit internet connection. If we're pushing electrical power and uncompressed 4K data through the exact same copper wires, why doesn't the electromagnetic interference
Completely scramble the video?
Yeah.
Well, it comes down to how HDBaseT manages frequencies. The power and the data operate on completely different frequency bands.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, this system uses differential signaling on the twisted pairs of the CAT cable to basically cancel out the electromagnetic interference. So the power flows constantly in the background, but it's functionally invisible to the high-frequency packetized video and audio flying right past it.
So you genuinely don't need a separate power outlet behind those distant monitors to power the receiver unit?
Nope, none at all.
That is wild. The Avenview is injecting the pristine video, the lossless audio, the internet connection, the remote control signal, and the physical electrical power down one standard network wire, and none of it steps on each other's toes.
It completely changes the total infrastructure cost. When you factor in the sheer amount of specialized wiring and, expensive electrician hours saved.
Oh, right, the labor.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you're wiring a massive sports bar or a complex high-end smart home. That $1,000 price tag actually starts to look like a bargain. You're trading a rat's nest of thick cords and severe distance limits for a single, streamlined ecosystem.
It makes future-proofing a media setup a lot more elegant. So for you listening, whether you are wiring a commercial space or a high-end setup, this is really about eliminating clutter, hiding all that complexity inside a standardized cable architecture that's already living inside your walls.
Which leaves us with a fascinating reality to consider. As our screens grow larger and our visual data gets exponentially heavier, you really have to wonder, will the traditional bulky HDMI cable soon be entirely obsolete? It might just be completely replaced by invisible networks of simple internet cables, quietly doing all the heavy lifting right behind the drywall.